Hey everyone, welcome back to the best coin news channel on YouTube. I'm sonofasilverstacker. Today's date is May 31st, 2024. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about digital currencies and the effect or the impact it might have on numismatics and the U.S. Mint. And then we'll also be talking about gold. The Royal Mint put out a little something I'd like to share with you. But before any of that happens, I'd like to ask you to like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to reach a bazillion subs. Also, you might want to peruse the Son of a Silver Stacker store. We've got some awesome coin finder hunting mats. So we got the Lincoln Memorial background, the aluminum theme, the vivid black theme, Lincoln Memorial 1, and monochromatic theme. That's pretty cool. So I hope you like those. Now let's get here to moneymetals.com. Gold is at, 23.53.85, down 20 cents. It's really flat. Everything is just flat this morning. I wonder why. There's got to be a good reason. Silver is up 2 pennies to 31.40. Platinum up 35 cents to 10.40.50. And palladium up a quarter to 9.85.15. That's just incredible. You're looking at an in-stock American Silver Eagle whose premium is $8.59. You're going to get out of there for a quantity of 1 through 39 at $39.99 at $39.98. Now over here, they'll buy them back for $33.41 each. Over here to the bullion sales at the United States Mint. No new tale to tell since yesterday, but we did get some numbers in. And I don't doubt, let's face it, the Mint could report numbers all the way to probably to mid-June on these May numbers. So we'll see how that goes. Now here's Numismatic News. This is the article we're going to be talking about and commenting. It's by Patrick Keller about 15 hours ago. And the title of this article over here at Numismatic News says, "Might a central bank digital currency threaten numismatics?" And I got to tell you, folks, digital currencies, they're really interesting because all of the things, dollar bills, coins, whatever, it's all a substitute for gold. Whether it's Bitcoin, credit cards, checks, you name it, it's all a substitute for gold. Look at this. Here's a little impression. Why do you think Bitcoin is colored gold? Huh. Isn't that interesting? Maybe they want to make you feel a certain way about it, right? So these days, many payments are made by electronic transfers called ACH, automated clearinghouse payments. Cash and coin transactions have nearly disappeared in the United States. Well, let's find out a little bit more about what they're talking about, because some of us still use cash, and I imagine some of us have to use cash because we can't get bank accounts. It says here the U.S. government and Federal Reserve Bank, FRB, are studying the possible introduction. I don't know. It seems like to me that it's an inevitability. All right. It's not an if, it's a when. Possible introduction of a central bank digital currency. The premise for doing so would be to reduce the transaction costs of producing coins and currency, handling them in commerce, and counting them. In theory, it would be much more efficient to just make entries on a computer system. Now he's talking about the obvious positives of a digital currency, but can you think of some of the negatives of a digital currency? Absolutely. The use of coins and currency in everyday life was partially displaced with the expanded use of writing checks. There's another substitute for gold. Well, or maybe, so you've got gold, then you got the currency, and then writing checks is a substitute for the currency, which was a substitute for the gold, right? Especially after the U.S. government stopped imposing a tax in the early 1900s on each check written. The tax originally began in 1862 at 2 cents for each check written for amounts of $20 and 1 penny or larger. The tax was expanded to all checks in 1864. I guess the United States government needed money to do something during the 1862 to 1864. Can you imagine what it was? Later, charge cards, there you go, another step away from currency and gold. Credit cards, debit cards further displaced the use of coins and currency. Now, many payments are made by electronic transfers. We talked about the automated clearinghouse payments. The Fed's payment system is spreading across the U.S. Thus, the use of coins and currency in everyday commerce has largely disappeared in the United States. It would be really cool if they actually had a percentage of Americans that still use coins and currency for their everyday use. That way we could probably get a little bit more narrow of a scope to find out what's what. None of these developments has significantly disrupted interest in numismatics. I hope not. And if the United States Mint does actually, when they do go to a digital currency, I do believe that the United States Mint will actually still produce coins and currency, but just for numismatics, right? Just for collectors. Much like the Royal Canadian Mint still makes some of their, well, you know what I'm saying. You've been there. All right. There are two possible public reactions to the imposition of CBDC, in which everyone was either encouraged or required to make payments only through such a system. In China, the government monitors digital payments. Each citizen has a social credit rating with the government, and officials can prohibit attempted transactions by the citizens who do not have a sufficiently high rating. Yikes. People can, I guess you just have to go to a buddy's house. People can also be prevented from purchasing transportation or selected goods. Thus far, Chinese citizens can purchase precious metals, bullion, and numismatic items with little restrictions. So it looks, what they're trying to say there is it didn't have an impact over there, right? Now, in contrast, the Italians tried to effectively impose a central bank digital currency in 2021 called the Spunta Project. It was introduced with the collaboration of more than 100 of that nation's banks. Now, despite offering citizens favorable financial treatment and awarding cash prizes by lottery for using CBDC, wow, Italians almost overwhelmingly rejected the option. Can you believe that? They tried to buy them off by giving them cash prizes. That's remarkable. I guess they didn't fall for it, right? In America, people who prefer greater financial privacy than they, well, and isn't that something, financial privacy, than they would have if they worked checks or used a card to make a payment of well, look, I think what I'm trying to say is the financial privacy is when you use cash for your transactions, right? Exactly. I think that's what they're trying to say. Um, in another way, right? A higher percentage of numismatics pursue this hobby partly for privacy reasons than I would suspect would apply to the general public. Depending on how a CBDC might be imposed in the United States, this could have the impact of discouraging the interest in numismatics among people who highly value their financial privacy. Wow, isn't that something? Think about that. Wow, right? Depending on how a CBDC might be imposed in the United States, how would it be imposed? Like mandatory, or well, if you want to, you don't have to, right? This could have the impact of discouraging the interest in numismatics. I don't know about that. Now, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but that's a question you need to really think about, right? What kind of level of privacy do you want when you are purchasing numismatics? Now, it says here, answer to the previous trivia question. Last week I asked which U.S. coin denomination did not have legal tender status until 7 years after its production by the U.S. Mint ceased after its U.S. production. Okay, here, after the production ceased, there's a Liberty 1834. There you go. It's the copper half-cent coin. The answer is the half-cent struck intermittently from 1793 through 1857. Only gold and silver coins were originally given legal tender status, so the copper half-cent and the 1 cent denominations were not initially legal tender, but easily circulated in commerce on the basis of their intrinsic copper value. Isn't that something? Huh. I wonder if the pre-1982 Lincoln copper cents will ever, I mean, they have an intrinsic value, right? And would they ever be traded or used for denomination, right? That's incredible. The half-cent denomination and the large cents were discontinued in 1857, Section 4 of the Coinage Act of April 22, 1864. Wonder what was going on then. That said coins, the small size 1 cent and the newly authorized 2 cents, shall be a legal tender in any payment. So they didn't have to actually mint any more coins. They were like, well, since it's out there, let's just go ahead and make it legal tender. And the United States government didn't have to strike any new coins because, yeah, look at that. They were from 1793 to 1857. They were already out in circulation. And it shall be lawful to pay out said coins in exchange for the lawful currency of the United States, except cents or half cents issued under former acts of Congress. Effectively, this granted retroactive legal tender status to the half cents and large cents. The legal tender status of all U.S. Mint issued coins ever issued was confirmed by later legislation up until the 1960s. Now, this is the trivia question for the next week, and I know what this one is right off the top of my head. Alvin and the Chipmunks is what I think of. Now, who was the first U.S. president to appear on a U.S. coin during his lifetime? Come back next week for the answer. Yeah, let's do that. All right, here we go. This is the Royal Mint, and this just came out this morning. It says bank failures and fragilities in the system. And look at that. They have an American dollar on a toothpick, it looks like, against a $20 bill. And this is by Steve Jones, updated just today, it looks like. So this is under Home, Invest, New, Discover, Gold News, Bank Failures, and Fragilities in the System. There it is. Tell you folks, a lot going on in the world. It says here the financial landscape in the Western world is undergoing a turbulent phase. I wonder if the Royal Mint would ever come out with something like this, in a little candor, right? Right? Marked by heightened systemic and banking risk, recent bank failures have further destabilized the market, prompting investors to reconsider traditional asset classes. One of the notable shifts in investment trends is the renewed interest in gold, a time-honored safe haven. That's right. Remember we talked about how Bitcoin is a substitute for the dollar, and why do they try and make it look gold? There's a really good reason, right? Now, the financial system in the West is grappling with several challenges, a combination of factors including economic uncertainty, stubborn inflation, and geopolitical tensions that have contributed to an environment of heightened risk. Central banks' efforts to curb inflation through aggressive interest rate hikes have put additional pressure on financial institutions, particularly those with significant exposure to long-term fixed-rate assets. Ouch. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Several banks have found themselves in precarious positions due to liquidity issues, deteriorating loan portfolios, and operational inefficiencies. Absolutely, with that rising interest rates and lower interest rates on the other items in their investment portfolios, right? That's rough. You take a hit on there. Due to liquidity issues, deteriorating loan portfolios, yada yada, the collapse of prominent banks such as Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, and Credit Suisse has sent shockwaves through the financial markets. So that's here in the United States, and that is in Europe, right? Shockwaves through the financial markets. These failures underscore the fragility of the banking sector and have perhaps eroded investor confidence. And that's why people are going where? Yeah, into precious metals. Recent bank failures, says the failure of SVB, was a significant event that highlighted the vulnerabilities within the banking sector. SVB, a key player in the tech and venture capital industries, faced a liquidity crisis exacerbated by sudden spike in depositors' withdrawals. Yeah, the bank runs, what that's called. The bank's inability to meet these demands led to a rapid loss of confidence and ultimately its downfall. Credit Suisse, another major international institution, yeah, they're goners, faced a series of scandals and operational missteps that culminated in its collapse. The bank exposure to high-risk clients and failure to manage internal controls effectively were critical factors in its demise. These events have raised questions about the robustness of regulatory frameworks and the ability of banks to withstand financial shocks. And that's really funny because the robustness of regulatory frameworks, and we all know they change the rules, right? We know that they change the rules when stuff hits the fan. They're like, well, we'll just go ahead and make this new window available so you can, overnight transactions are good. They want to make the system work, and they will do everything they can to keep it running, even if they have to make new rules, right? Only a month ago, Philadelphia-based Republic First Bancorp was taken over by regulators. It emerged that the bank was doubly encumbered by declining deposits. That's awesome. Watch out there. Coupled with an ailing mortgage loan business. There it is. That's right. That's rough right now. The bank also failed to submit its accounts for financial year 2022, and here we are in 2024, with the company citing a failure to maintain adequate internal controls. Ultimately, the bank and its assets were sold to Fulton Bank, which acquired 32 branches across Pennsylvania. Now, it says here, this is it, gold, the safe haven. And I'm going to leave a link in the description for you because you probably already know all about gold. I don't need to say it, right? Now, we are at the plus ones. This is Isaiah 40:31. It says here, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on the wings like eagles. Soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. Doesn't that sound superhuman? That's amazing. The wings of eagles. All right, this is it. ACDC Money Talks. Come on, listen to the money. That's right. All right, folks. Well, there it is. I want to thank y'all for coming. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you do like what you hear and see, sub the channel. It is free. And also, you might want to peruse the store and pick up a coin roll hunting map. All right. Thank you, folks. Stacker out.